And I look forward to the upcoming year and working with each and every one of you, the administration, Dr. Bushar, Mr. Tiavis, our assistant superintendents, and the entire district, the employees, and of course, doing everything we can to better the education for our students of the district. Thank you for your support. I wanted to waver a moment from the agenda. And I'm going to take the liberty of taking a moment to recognize and acknowledge the last 5.5+ years. We've had a great blessing to have been working with the board president of the level of Dr. Karen Cordlino. This board has been blessed. The school district, in fact, has been blessed. Karen is, I wrote down a few adjectives as I was driving here today, and her two children, Vanessa and Alex, can chime in if you want here this evening.
I don't agree with anything you're about to say.
Karen is driven.
They're going to public participation.
Driven, focused, proactive, resourceful, incisive, thoughtful, caring, and Karen, as we've mentioned a couple of times before, there's a bare minimum of education from the New Jersey school boards that everybody has to take. Karen has always gone way beyond and brought back best practices to the Board of Education, which have enabled this board to become more professional and better working. And you've also, Karen, always worked within the confines of what's in your heart and best for the children. So I just wanted to take a moment. Words don't do it justice now, but I wanted to take a moment to thank you for your 5.5+ years as board president and the diligent hard work that you put into this position.
Thank you.
Although it was a while ago, I remember Karen saying, please bear with me, I beg your indulgence, because, well, I have to say that Karen has made things look very easy, and I'm sure there's going to be a learning curve, so please bear with me, everyone. So now I'd like to take motions for the position of Vice President.
Mr. President, it would be, we will jointly, I think, probably nominate the same person. I'd like to nominate Carmela Novi.
Is there a second?
Second. Move the nomination to be closed.
Any second on that?
Second. I did say something. To accept the nomination. I asked to close the nomination.
Oh, second.
Good night, John.
You think we did this now?
It's going to take a little bit.
And is this going to be a voice vote? So all in favor, Carmela Novi as Vice President?
I got one. Close the nomination.
Close the nomination. And then vote.
Poor man.
Actually, isn't it correct that it's just check off? There's only one nomination? Is that not correct?
There are two, yes, but there are two motions pending. One is to close
Close, yes.
the nominations, the other one is to vote. And you can vote by acclamation on either
Correct.
or second.
Thank you for clarifying that.
So we will close the nomination.
Yes.
That can do that. That will have a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Negative.
Congratulations.
Now you go. Roll call. Just like I said.
You gotta have them switch their lanyards. See,
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Karen Cordlino.
Yes.
That's communication.
Karen Corlino,
Yes.
Charles Grouse,
Yes.
Michael Johnson,
Yes.
Matthew King, yes. David Norgard,
Yes.
John Morello,
Yes.
Carmelo Novi,
Yes.
Michael O'Brien,
Aye.
Michael Palmer.
Yes.
Congratulations. There will be no executive session this evening. I'd like to open the floor for public participation. Anyone who'd like to make comment about items on the agenda only? We'll close public participation. Now, as we move forward in the agenda, this is Roman numeral.
Let it be the annual business.
Let's entertain a motion for items E.1. Well, I would like to postpone E.1 to E17.
Oh, actually, you know what, I apologize, and I have, I know that I failed to mention this at the beginning of the meeting, the agenda. Yeah, we need a motion for that. It's, actually, what is the end, it's under the.
F15.
Yes, it's 15, thanks, that's funny. So it'll be a separate, motion. Which one was dedicated to F15?
F15.
So that was E1 to 17 with the exception of 15.
You need a motion? Yes. So moved.
Second.
Brown?
Have the same roll call.
Yes.
Mr. President, I couldn't hear you. We're
E1 to 17 with the exclusion of number 15.
Question of, how are we going to do the 12 through 17, the other ones, we don't know what the bill is?
This is on E.
Yeah, we're not doing the actual.
Okay, sorry, that's earlier.
And we roll call now. Aaron Corlino,
Yes.
Charles Brown,
Yes.
and Michael. Go ahead.
I'll.
Oh,
It's going to take a little bit.
This is a two-hour meeting to begin with, so
Yeah.
it doesn't count.
Yeah, it doesn't count. Okay. All right, Mr. Brown.
We're voting on E now, 1 to 17 except 15.
That's correct, sir.
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Johnson?
Oh, wait a second, we're not voting on E15?
Just, no, we're voting on E.1.
I thought Charlie just said we're voting on E1 through 17 except for 15.
That's correct.
But we're not voting on E15.
We're not.
We're not.
Except
Say
15
exception.
is removed.
Yes.
Except 15.
Oh, E15 is removed, the dentist?
You just take it off for E15.
That's F.
Oh, you know what? Mr. Thomas?
Charlie, you have E F, and
I apologize.
it's F.
So we can do all of these. Oh, boy. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Thomas.
F15.
So we're not there.
So who made the motion on this one? Charlie. So we're okay with,
I'm fine with 1 to 17.
for E.
Second.
correct.
Okay, now we'll do Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Dr. Moldrak?
Yes.
Mr. Morello?
Yep.
Ms. Noe?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
an aye on all items except E3, I abstain on
I'm sorry, you're saying on
E3. E3.
E then. All right. Mr. Vaughn?
Yes.
Dr. Corlino?
Yes, except abstain on E3.
E.3. And Dr. King?
Yes.
Yes, that's when just one thing. No longer allowed a waiver. Maybe.
So
Motion on,
now we'd like to make a motion, items F1 through F11. I'd like to postpone items 12 through 7, F12 through 17.
so
All
moved.
right,
Second.
second.
Well, what he needs to postpone items 12, 13, 14, 16, and 17 while we're moving completely.
Yeah.
I also,
Did you clarify one more time?
Yes.
Okay.
Item
We're
15.
on the, I got the letter.
Yeah.
Which ones are we pulling out?
12.
15?
12 through 17 are being postponed, 15 is being pulled out.
Okay.
But the motion on the table right now is for approving items F1 through 11 only. Correct.
Correct.
All right, 1 to 11 only.
And I would like to read the code of ethics of board members. And we can start with Mr. Morella, if you'd like to read 11A on page 10 of 17.
I will uphold and enforce the laws, rules, regulations of the State Board of Education and the court's orders pertaining to schools. Desired changes should be brought about only through legal and ethical procedures.
I will make decisions in terms of the educational welfare of children and will seek to develop and maintain public schools which meet the individual needs of all children, regardless of their ability, race, creed, sex, or social standing.
I will confine my board action to policy making, planning, and appraisal, and I will help frame policies and plans only if the board has consulted those who will be affected by it.
I will carry out my responsibility not to administer the schools, but together with my fellow board members, to see that they are well run.
I will recognize that authority rests with the Board of Education. I will make no personal promises nor take any private action which may compromise the board.
I will refuse to surrender my independent judgment to special interest or partisan political groups or to use the schools for personal gain or for the gain of friends.
I will hold confidential all matters pertaining to the schools which, if disclosed, would needlessly injure individuals or the schools. But in all other matters, I will provide accurate information and in concert with my fellow board members, interpret to the staff the aspirations of the community for its schools.
I will vote to appoint the best qualified personnel available after consideration of the recommendations of the Chief Administrative Officer.
This happens to be one of my favorites. I will support and protect school personnel in proper performance of their duties.
John, go ahead.
I will refer all complaints to the Chief Administrative Officer and will act on such complaints at the public meetings only after the failure of administrative solution.
So on items F1 through 11, I need a motion.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Jim.
Mr. Brown?
Yes,
Dr. Corlino?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Dr. Mowbray?
Yes.
Mr. Morrell?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Aye.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Dr. King?
Yes.
Motion passed.
And at this point in time, I'd like to turn to Dr. Rostar for the superintendent's report.
I just wanted to note that for our next board meeting that will occur on Tuesday, January 19th, we will actually, prior to the meeting, be welcoming the community to visit the new high school media center, where we'll be having a ribbon cutting and dedication ceremony beginning at 5 o'clock that evening prior to the board meeting. And we encourage all of the community to come and marvel at the wonderful facility that's been created at the high school.
Thank you, Dr. Rostar. Now, I'd like, Jim has no report for the A, and I'd like to make a motion for items I, K, L, M and O, there's no addendum this evening.
Second.
Second. Is there any discussion? Seeing that there is no discussion, roll call please.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Dr. Corlino?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
I abstain on K-10, yes on everything else.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Dr. Modrak?
Yes.
Mr. Morel?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Aye.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
And Dr. King?
Yes.
Motion's passed.
Anyone have any old business? Additional reports? Chairman report?
I just wanted to comment on the holiday edition of the Lazar Legacy and the November issue of the Podium that we received in our board packets. I love receiving these, and I think the rest of the board does too, so thank you for including them. I particularly liked the Tech Talk section in the Lazar Legacy about choosing a phone. I thought it was very well done and timely. And the Podium article about high school students waking up too early. It's a very, very well-timed article. So please pass on our thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Furlong. Any general board comments, new business?
I'd like to make a general comment. I just want to say to my fellow board members, as we start the new year, I think we're going to have a great year. This board, as our president said, works together very well with so many varied voices. Our new superintendent, I'm sure, has her feet on the ground, and I'm very pleased that I could be here to work with you. I think 2016 is going to be a great year for our school district with this Board of Education, and I sincerely mean that.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. Yes, Mr. President.
I would also like to add my thanks to Karen for the leadership she's provided as president. Until you're president, I was president, I think 10 years. You can't appreciate the work that goes into that. I'm sure Matt will learn that during the next 12 months. But it might look very easy just sitting up here chairing a meeting, but Karen and I know the work that goes in, and I would personally like to thank her for the work she did in leading this district as board president. And I think it's been a great 5 years. I like the direction we're going with Dr. Rotar, and I think we can expect great things in the next year. Thank you.
Thank you,
Here, here. Arnold?
Regarding Karen, Dr. Corlino.
Can I say something to the table?
Dr. Corlino came on the board as president, was elected president my first year. And for anyone who was here 5.5 years ago, the night I was sworn in was a night of somewhat, I recall it as a night of somewhat turmoil, because it was on the heels of a defeated budget, and then a gut budget, $3.2 million in state aid cut from our budget, and then an additional almost $1 million cut. There were a lot of really difficult decisions that had to be made in the year after, in that first year, and we had a new superintendent on top of everything else. There was quite a bit of discord in the district. There was a board which, from my observations during my campaign, had taken to airing personal grievances publicly, which I don't think ever is in the best interest of the district. It's a very different board today, and it's a very different board in part because of all the different personalities who now have been elected and have been serving on this board, but it is an extraordinarily different board because of Karen. Karen, some of the things that I remember about Karen saying over the years is, one, is that she felt very strongly that it was her job as president to protect the minority opinion. And that's a very important role. It's not always easy to be in the minority opinion, and sometimes you have board members who legitimately and sincerely, and for very good reason, disagree with other board members. And those discussions have always been civilized, and that minority opinion, whether it's in public session or in private, has always been protected by Karen. And that's an extraordinary
role, because not everyone remembers or believes that you really do have to protect the minority opinion. Any review of history tells us that sometimes that minority opinion evolves to the majority opinion, and for good reason. So I thank Karen for all those years of stewardship. She really stewarded the district during a very difficult period, and there were a lot of difficult decisions that had to be made. I think the fact that we have an improved relationship with the public and with the teachers who serve such a vital role in this district is directly because of Karen's efforts and because of those of Dr. Freed. And the reason Dr. Freed could do his job as effectively as he did for the 5 years he was with us is because he had Karen's support, and by example, he had the support of the rest of us. And a leader can only really do a good job if they have the support of the people who they are serving. Karen always made sure that the teachers and the administration and the superintendent was supported so that they could do their job as well as they do it. Karen was the person who talked me into running by telling me it would be a very limited obligation, just a few hours a month. And I thank her for that stretch of the truth. Because I never would have had this experience if she hadn't encouraged me to run. I wouldn't have had the pleasure of knowing all the wonderful people that I've served with, some of whom are currently here, and some who have since stepped down and gone on to other pastures. But thank you, Karen, for so much work. I've never seen a board member work as hard as you've worked in the last 5.5 years. I think that your leadership has really been extraordinary. Thank you. Thank you.
I just chime in too. I think the biggest difference in the board between the time Karen took over and now is that while it was a good board, 5 years ago I thought this was a board of education with 9 people on it. Now this is a board of education that just functions as a unit collectively. It's almost as if matters have kind of melted together. And that's a good thing. And like Carmel said, we don't always agree on everything, but it's respectful when we disagree. We listen to each other's points of view, and occasionally some of us have even been known to change our minds after discussion. It's a board, I echo Mike's comments again, it's a board to be proud of being a part of. I think we work well with the community. Karen has done a yeoman's job with regard to community relations with the faculty, with the staff, and I think under Karen's leadership, above all, and we were fortunate enough to have a wonderful superintendent in Dr. Freed, and that's not to take anything away from Dr. Rovkar. I'm sure she will be every bit as good, but Karen had the common sense to encourage the board to say, when the administration is working well, when the schools are working well, get out of the way. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I think through Karen's leadership, the board has helped everyone, whether it's the administration, the principals, the teachers. I think the board has helped to get the best out of everybody. And that is Karen's legacy, and I have no doubt that Matt's going to continue it. So I want to thank Karen very much for all of her hard work and for above all for making this board human.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. President, if I may, I think the historical reference that we're all groping for is somewhat well known, and that is a strong, steady hand inside a velvet glove. And I think that's what we have had. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the board?
Dr. Jeremy?
So we'll move on now.